The Chosen One. Pay close attention. What I'm going to disclose is not simply another message. It is a spiritual awakening intended for you. There are secret realities about your identity that have been purposefully concealed from you. Truths that, once fully understood, have the potential to alter your life. This is no coincidence. If you are here, divine powers have brought you here. Consider the past. Have you ever felt that there were missing bits of your past? Have you seen any trends in your life that appeared too deliberate to be coincidental? You always knew you were different. Set aside. That emotion wasn't simply in your head. You were picked. Those who saw your light before you attempted to hinder you from realizing your own power. Why? Because once you truly understand who you are, nothing can stop you. Those who feared your potential attempted to stifle it. They altered the circumstances, distorted recollections, and instilled doubt in your heart. But no matter what they did, the call on your life would never be extinguished. And now it's time for you to recover it. Before we go any farther, I want you to do something tremendous. If this message speaks to you, comment 99.9 below to declare that you are ready to walk into your actual mission. And special thanks to everyone who has helped make our mission a success. I am profoundly appreciative for your generosity in spreading this great word to those who need it the most. May God richly reward you for your generous heart. The Chosen One. Brace yourself. After hearing what I'm going to say, you'll never look at your history the same way again. Everything, including the challenges, rejections, and even betrayals, will eventually make sense. But be wary. Not everyone is ready for the truth. Only the genuinely selected will comprehend. If you are still here, it implies you are prepared. Now, let us discover the truth. They didn't want you to know. It's time to bring what was previously concealed to light. God's chosen ones. They concealed your true identity, your real tale, from the time a child enters the world. There are subtle yet significant clues that disclose their heavenly purpose. Signs that are sometimes undetectable to the naked sight, yet hold profound spiritual meaning. What appear to be random happenings, ephemeral feelings, or unexplainable impulses are actually orchestrations of God's hand, gently guiding His chosen ones to their destiny. Perhaps you remember times in your youth when you had an unshakable feeling of tranquility, an unexplainable draw towards something bigger, or a profound comprehension of the universe that seemed beyond your years. These occurrences were not coincidental. They were heavenly markers set along your road to guide you to a crucial task. This is fully consistent with Ephesians 1 verse 4, which states that He selected us in Christ before the creation of the world. In His love, He predestined us to be holy and blameless. Consider that before the earth was formed, God has already chosen you for a unique mission. Have you ever pondered why some memories from your childhood stand out so vividly? Why, despite everything, have you always felt unique, as if you were intended for something bigger? If so, take close attention, since these clues might indicate that you are one of God's chosen ones. You may have felt different from others since you were a youngster. Perhaps you were more watchful, preferring to watch and learn rather than blindly following the pack. Other youngsters readily fit into social circles. You may have found yourself on the outside looking in, not because you were incapable of fitting in, but because you saw the world from a different perspective. Perhaps you were the one who posed important questions that grown-ups struggled to answer. Why was I born? What is my purpose? Why do I view things differently than everyone else? These notions were more than mere childish curiosity. They were insights into your heavenly calling. Consider Samuel, the youthful prophet from the Bible. As a youngster, he was set apart while growing up in the temple under Eli's supervision. One night, Samuel heard a voice cry out his name. However, he failed to perceive that God was communicating to him. It wasn't until Eli taught him that he realized he was being called to something bigger. First, Samuel 3, 1-10. Could it be that, like Samuel, God has been calling you since you were a child, but the world has failed to notice it? Many chosen ones view their differences as a burden, an explanation for loneliness. Have you ever thought you were too mature for your age? Like the way you thought, acted, and processed emotions was beyond what others could understand. This is not a flaw. It is a symbol of heavenly preparation. Jeremiah 1 verse 5 informs us that I knew you before you were born. I set you aside. I designated you as a prophet to the nations. You were never intended to blend in. You were designed to stand out. History has demonstrated that individuals who are called frequently face rejection or misunderstanding. Consider Albert Einstein, for example. Before becoming one of history's most renowned scientists, he struggled in school and was frequently labeled as sluggish by his professors. His thinking works differently. While others saw constraints, he saw potential. He eventually changed physics by embracing his own unique vision rather than submitting to others' expectations of him. What if you, too, have been given a vision that the world has yet to understand? What if your uniqueness is not a constraint, but rather a gift that will one day improve people's lives? Chosen ones are frequently motivated by an inherent desire to serve others, to shed light where there is darkness. Have you always been the one to provide a consoling remark when someone is hurting? Who donated without expecting anything in return? Perhaps you were the buddy others came to during difficult times, even if you rarely received the same amount of compassion in return. This is the mark of someone who has God's heart within them. Someone has decided to express his love in a world that sorely needs it. Jeremiah 29:11 informs us, "For I know what plans I have for you. Plan to bless you. Plans that won't hurt you. Plans to bring you hope and a future." If you've ever questioned why you contribute so much yet don't feel seen, remember, God sees you and is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. The sense of loneliness, that thirst for something greater, does not indicate that you are lost. It indicates that God is calling you to something better. Accepting this fact is the first step in realizing the future He has planned for you. So, have you ever felt that the world was hiding something from you? As if you were destined for something far greater than what others perceive? If so, perhaps it is time to finally discover who you truly are. Since childhood, you may have felt as if the world around you was different, while others went about their days with joyful innocence. You have an awareness that went beyond simple observation. It was as if you had stronger senses, deeper intuition, and a greater capacity to perceive emotions than people around you. You sense the weight of unsaid words, the concealed sadness in a person's eyes, or the subtle shift in energy when you entered a room. Even as a youngster, you grasped things that others did not seem to grasp. Could it be that this heightened awareness was not an accident, but rather a heavenly gift bestowed upon you for a higher purpose? Unlike your classmates, who found delight in diversions and temporary distractions, you were drawn to something more profound. The wind's whisper, the rhythm of pouring rain, or the solitude of the night roused something inside you. It felt like the planet was communicating, taking a message beyond words. This sensitivity represented more than simply emotional depth. It was a spiritual connection, an indication that you were set aside. The Bible informs us in John 15:16, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit. Fruit that will last, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, He may grant you." This passage is direct assurance that you were not picked at random. You were appointed for a cause that will have a long-term influence. Many people throughout history have carried this heavenly, sensitive city, and while the world did not first understand them, their callings became clear. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest innovators of all time, was renowned for his extraordinary sensitivity. He had visions from a young age, had an extraordinary recall, and could imagine complete ideas before putting them on paper. He once said that his thoughts came to him as if from another dimension. While the world saw him as strange, it eventually recognized his talent. What if your perception of the world is not a burden, but rather a divine imprint intended to help you accomplish your purpose? Even people called by God frequently face loneliness. Moses, who was selected to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, was nurtured amid royalty, but never felt really at home. He felt a conflict between his wealthy lifestyle and his deeper calling. It wasn't until he came upon the burning bush that his fate became evident. Exodus 3:1-12. Have you ever felt as if you were living in two worlds? Which one were you born into, and which one do you feel compelled to join? This particular awareness is frequently accompanied with a sense of obligation. Those who perceive the hardships of others are natural providers, healers, and guardians. But what happens if you contribute but rarely receive in return? Princess Diana, sometimes known as the People's Princess, showed compassion for the suffering. Despite her position of affluence, she frequently felt misunderstood and out of place within the royal family. Her sensitivity drove her to promote problems that others overlooked. Visiting hospitals, welcoming individuals living with HIV during a period of widespread fear and stigma, and campaigning for the underprivileged. Her profound compassion made her adored. However, it made her feel like an alien in her own world. If you've always felt compelled to serve others, even if it costs you emotionally, it's possible that God has given you a specific mission. John 15:16 promises that if we align with God's plan, He will provide us with all we need. That profound understanding you've had from infancy, the way you see things beyond the surface, and the feeling that you are always destined for something more. None of it is random. It's part of a divine calling. Many of God's chosen ones have walked this path before you, and it is not without hardships. However, such trials demonstrate that you are being prepared for something amazing. Have you ever questioned why you were made the way you are, why you see things others don't, or why your heart is pulled to anything out of the ordinary? Perhaps the solution was always there. You were selected not by chance, but by the supernatural hand of God Himself. You will finally comprehend it. Until then, trust that every step of your path has led you to the point where everything will be obvious. Empathy is one of the most obvious signals that you've been selected. However, this is more than simply regular emotional sensitivity. It's a heavenly gift, a spiritual calling, and a huge duty. It enables you to not only sense people's emotions, but also grasp their deeper spiritual requirements. This is a unique and strong talent that allows you to advise, heal, and inspire people around you. You may have felt different in this way since a young age. While many individuals go through life uninformed of the challenges and feelings of others, you have always shown that you care. Think back on your childhood. Were you instinctively drawn to those who were left out? Did you see the grief in someone's eyes before they ever spoke? While others may have been too consumed with their own life to notice, you had an instinct for when someone needed consolation. You have always prioritized others before yourself, not out of necessity, but because something deep inside you pushed you to do so. This skill is more than just kindness. This is spiritual discernment. It reflects God's love working through you. Deep empathy is not a weakness. It's a strength. The chosen ones have been summoned to serve, to become healers, and to be sources of light in a world that is frequently filled with gloom. Your sensitivity to other people's emotions is not an accident. It's part of your heavenly preparation. When someone else was in agony, you felt it as if it were your own. When someone was happy, it filled your heart as well. This isn't something you can learn. It is a quality that God has endowed in you. In Galatians 6, the Bible reinforces this holy obligation to bear each other's burdens in order to follow Christ's law. This text demonstrates that bearing the burdens of others, participating in their hardships, and showing them love and support are all crucial components of following in Christ's footsteps. If you've always felt the weight of other people's emotions, it's because you were chosen to carry this duty not as a burden, but as a mission to provide healing and hope to those in most need. Many outstanding people who altered the world were extremely empathic. The leader of India's nonviolent resistance movement, Mahatma Gandhi, famously stated, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." His empathy for the oppressed inspired him to dedicate his life to justice. He might have lived well disregarding the plight of the poor, but his heart would not let him. He decided to shoulder such difficulties on his own. What if your strong sensitivity to others is a comparable calling? What if your goal is to be a source of hope, just as Christ was in the Bible? The most effective leaders have compassionate hearts. When Jesus Christ observed the ill, he was affected by their suffering. He cured them when he noticed they were starving. He fed them. When he noticed the brokenness, he repaired them. His entire ministry was an outpouring of heavenly empathy, a love so tremendous that he sacrificed his life to save others. Matthew 9:36 says that when he observed the multitudes, he felt sympathy for them because they were distressed and defenseless, like sheep without a shepherd. If Jesus, the Son of God, led with compassion, then your strong empathy reflects his spirit operating within you. At times, this talent may be overpowering. You may find yourself bearing the grief of others without understanding how to let it go. However, remember that God did not give you this sensitivity to wear you down. He gave it to you so you may be a receptacle for his love. When you witness someone in pain, your very presence might be a source of comfort. A good phrase may boost a soul that is feeling lost. Never underestimate the power of your compassion. God's plan is developing, and you are an important part of it. Your ability to detect, feel, and love passionately is not an accident. It's a divine appointment. The world requires more individuals like you. People who see beyond the surface, care without being asked, and love unconditionally. If you've ever wondered why your heart carries the feelings of others, the solution is straightforward. You were picked. You were chosen to reflect God's love in a manner that few can. How are you going to use this gift? How will you use empathy to its full potential? Has God intended anything for you? The chosen ones frequently get messages in their dreams, as if the separation between the physical and spiritual worlds is smaller for them than for others. Dreams are one of the most effective ways God communicates with his chosen ones, conveying tremendous meaning and guidance. Unlike typical dreams, which dissipate upon awakening, these visions are frequently strong, vivid, and firmly etched in the soul. Have you ever awoke feeling as if you had just had more than a dream? Have some dreams persisted in your memory for days, compelling you to investigate their meaning? If this is the case, it is possible that the event was not random. God may be communicating to you personally. There are instances when a chosen one experiences a tremendous dream that will not be forgotten. You may have had such a vivid dream that it lingered long after you awoke. You strive to recall every detail, putting together what was presented to you, sensing that there is a hidden truth waiting to be revealed. Or perhaps you've experienced dreams that appear to prophesy the future, revealing events before they occur. These experiences, while strange in childhood, are proof that you have a particular relationship with God. Throughout history, persons who have been chosen for a divine purpose have had prophetic dreams and visions that serve as seeds sown in their souls. These dreams are part of God's divine preparation process, in which he equips his chosen ones before revealing his larger purpose for their life. Sometimes these dreams act as foreshadowing of future occurrences. Other times, they provide comfort and security, reminding you that you are never alone. Could it be that God has been communicating with you all along, guiding you via the visions you experience at night? The Bible contains several examples of God utilizing dreams to reveal his purposes. According to Matthew 22:21, while he was pondering about these things, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and told him, "Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, because what is in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son, whom you will call Jesus, because he will rescue his people from sin." Joseph was confronted with a major issue. Should he stay with Mary, despite her amazing but unexpected pregnancy? Should he walk away? God chose to respond to him in a dream, revealing the supernatural reality that Mary was carrying the Son of God. This dream gave Joseph clarity, confidence, and direction, allowing him to take on the holy role that was planned for him. This biblical example indicates that dreams are more than merely figments of the imagination. They are a tool that God uses to direct, warn, and reassure people he has selected. If you've had dreams that appear too genuine to be simple illusions, with a message you couldn't ignore, it's time to pay attention. God could be revealing something essential to you. Many notable people throughout history have spoken on the power of dreams to shape their fate. Harriet Tubman, the American abolitionist who freed hundreds of enslaved people, claimed to have visions and dreams that guided her mission. She frequently claimed that her visions revealed safe paths and warned her of perils along the way. Despite being born into slavery, her faith in these supernatural communications gave her the confidence to follow God's instructions. Could it be that, like Harriet Tubman, your dreams are guiding you to your spiritual mission? Genesis 37 is another dramatic example of God using dreams to reveal fate. This is the narrative of Joseph, Jacob's son. Joseph experienced prophetic dreams at an early age, including images of his brothers bending before him. Despite being insulted and even sold into slavery, his aspirations came true when he rose to power in Egypt, sparing his family and the entire nation from starvation. If Joseph had ignored his dreams, he might not have discovered his ultimate mission. Many chosen ones had nightmares that defied understanding, visions that warn, direct, or offer insight into their path. If you've ever felt that a dream had a deeper message, don't disregard it. You may be getting glimpses of God's purpose for your life. Trust in his timing, even when the meaning of your dreams is not immediately obvious. Every vision, message, and heavenly voice in the night is a part of something larger. Keep patient, keep faithful, and know that God is preparing you for a greater role than you could have dreamed. There are times in life when you feel that an unseen force is protecting you, leading you away from harm just before calamity hits. You faced dangers that should have overpowered you, yet you came out unscathed. You've seen circumstances in which there appeared to be no way out. However, a path unexpectedly appeared. These are neither random coincidences or strokes of luck. They are symbols of heavenly protection. Have you ever pondered why? When all looked lost, a solution appeared unexpectedly? Why? When others fought to recover from adversity, you stood steadfast, as if an invisible hand had guided your steps. Many chosen ones have had experiences in which they nearly averted danger and the unthinkable became achievable. You may have been in a bad financial situation, and just when you thought you had no more alternatives, an unexpected opportunity arose. Perhaps you've encountered personal challenges, wondering how you'd get through them, only to discover strength you didn't know you possessed. These are not accidents. They demonstrate that God is looking over you. Ensure that you accomplish the purpose he has given you. The Bible tells us in Psalm 34 verse 7 that the angel of the Lord encircles and saves those who fear him. This isn't a vague remark. This is a heavenly promise. God is not merely observed from afar. He actively sends his angels to protect his chosen ones, making certain that no weapon constructed against them would succeed. If you've ever wondered why you were spared situations from which others did not, think about this. Could it be that you're being kept for a larger purpose? History is filled with people who received unexplainable protection and went on to do incredible things. Martin Luther King Jr., the leader of the American Civil Rights Movement, was almost assassinated years before his iconic eye. In 1958, he delivered his Have a Dream speech. A lady stabbed him in the chest with a letter opener. The medics then informed him that if he had sneezed, the blade would have perforated his aorta and killed him instantaneously. King later reflected on his remarkable survival. He went on to spearhead a movement that altered the course of history. Could it be that, like him, your life has been saved because your purpose has not yet been completed? The Bible has innumerable examples of divine protection. Daniel is in the lion's den. Daniel chapters 616 to 22 were thrown into a pit of ravenous lions. However, God dispatched his angels to close the lions' mouths. Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego was thrown into a blazing furnace, yet they emerged unscathed because God was with them. Daniel 324 to 27, the Apostle Paul escaped shipwrecks, beatings, and several hardships. Nonetheless, he maintained his work since God had called him to proclaim the word. Acts 2722 to 25. If God can protect them, why shouldn't he do the same for you? Many chosen ones receive divine assistance without recognizing it. Have you ever experienced an incomprehensible desire to pursue a different route, only to realize later that an accident had occurred along your original route? Have you ever been delayed in a way that annoyed you, only to discover later that it protected you from danger? These are not random occurrences. They are God's method of protecting you and putting you just where you need to be. Understanding this reality can change the way you perceive your life. Instead of asking why certain events happen as they do, trust that God is organizing everything for your benefit. The enemy may try to block your path, but God's protection assures that no attack will succeed unless he permits it for a higher reason. You're here for a reason. Your survival is not an accident. Your trip is divinely led. Accept this fact and move forth with the certainty that no matter what happens, you will never be alone. Your life isn't a collection of unrelated experiences. It is a meticulously woven story created by God with aim and purpose. Every moment, every obstacle, and every blessing contribute to a magnificent painting that reveals the love and protection that surrounds you. Perhaps you sensed God's presence as a child, as if an invisible yet very known presence walked by you. It was not your imagination. It was not a coincidence. It was the clear presence of God's love in your life. Have you ever experienced incredible tranquility during a tempest in your life, as if something higher was keeping you steady? Have you ever prayed, not knowing what to say, yet feeling soothed by a presence beyond words? Many of God's chosen ones feel a closeness to the supernatural that beyond human comprehension, even in the most trying times when others may disintegrate under strain. You experienced an inner power that kept you standing. Could this be God's way of letting you know that he is directing your steps and ensuring that you never walk alone? The Bible reminds us of this divine connection in Jeremiah 29:12-13. You will cry and come to me to pray, and I will listen. You will seek and find me when you look for me with your whole heart. This is a promise made not merely to anybody, but especially to those who seek God seriously. If you felt called to pray without knowing why, or if you've received a response in the quiet, it's an indication that your heart has always been connected to God. Throughout history, people chosen to greatness have discussed this spiritual link. Joan of Arc, the young peasant girl who led France to triumph in war, claimed to hear God's voice from an early age. She thought she had been picked for a task. Despite overwhelming resistance, she remained steadfast in her devotion to God's calling. What if the same profound awareness she felt was rising within you? Could it be that God has put a special assignment in your heart that only you can complete? Even the Bible demonstrates how God exposes himself to people he chooses. As a youngster, Samuel heard God call his name at night. First, Samuel 3:4, 210. He didn't identify the voice at first, but when he did, he said, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." His journey as a prophet started. Could it be that, like Samuel, God has been speaking into your heart, waiting for you to acknowledge his voice? Moments of surprising tranquility, a sudden need to pray, the sense that you are never completely alone. These aren't accidents. They are indicative of a heavenly connection, a strong and personal relationship with God. Many chosen ones experience this tug from a young age, but not everyone accepts it. Some disregard it, believing it is merely their imagination. Others are resistant. I'm afraid of what it may signify. But those who embrace this calling and cultivate their relationship with God discover that it is their greatest source of strength. This relationship is more than simply a gift. It serves as the foundation for the fulfillment of your complete mission. Despite his reputation for political action, Mahatma Gandhi famously observed, "Prayer is not asking. It is a desire of the soul." He thought that real prayer connected people to a heavenly presence larger than themselves. What if the need you've had your whole life, the desire to seek something beyond what this world has to give, is proof that you weren't destined to travel the regular path? Embrace this connection. Let it develop, for it contains power, knowledge, and direction. You will need to completely embrace your spiritual mission. Chosen ones, think of times when you didn't feel like you belonged. Perhaps you felt strange as a youngster. Your ideas went deeper. Your inquiries were more serious, and how you interpreted the world distinguished you from those around you. Perhaps you struggled to connect with your friends or even your own family, since your perspective on life was different from theirs. The sense of being an outsider may be sad and alienating. What if it was never intended to be a burden? What if it was part of God's plan for something far bigger? Being set apart has never been simple, but it has always been required. Joseph, Jacob's son, was an outcast in his own family. His brothers despised him for his goals and the favor he received from his dad. In Genesis 37 verses 3-4, he was cast into a pit, sold into servitude, and later imprisoned. Nonetheless, every adversity was a step toward his divine mission. He rose from the status of rejected brother to become Egypt's pharaoh, saving countless lives during a famine. Could it be that, like Joseph, the rejection and loneliness you have felt were God's way of preparing you for something greater? Feeling like an outsider helps you to observe the world through a new lens. While others become engrossed in surface-level diversions, you may have always been drawn to deeper realities. Have you ever found yourself wondering what others take for granted? Have you ever felt as if you were supposed to grasp something more than what was immediately in front of you? These are not the same answers. This is how God sharpens the brains of those whom he has called. The difficulty of standing apart is intended to strengthen you, training you to rely on heavenly insight rather than human favor. The Bible promises us, James 1:2-4, "My brothers and sisters, when you confront adversity, celebrate with great delight, because you know that testing your faith builds perseverance. Allow your endurance to mature to the point where you are whole and without flaws." This chapter demonstrates that the difficulties you have encountered were never intended to hurt you. They were created to refine, mold, and prepare you for what is to come. Every moment of rejection, every time you felt invisible, was part of God's larger process of shaping you into someone strong, tough, and ready for your divine mission. Many people who changed the course of history felt a strong feeling of not belonging. Nikola Tesla, one of history's greatest inventors, was frequently misunderstood and isolated because his mind operated in ways that others could not understand. As a youngster, he had dreams and concepts that were unachievable at the time. However, his inventions would subsequently transform the modern world. What if the things that made you feel unique were actually gifts intended to set you apart for something special? Even Jesus was rejected by his own followers. According to John 1:11, he arrived to his own, but they did not accept him. He knew loneliness. He knew what it meant to be misunderstood. Nevertheless, he accomplished the greatest task the world has ever known. If the Son of God walks this route, can you understand how your own hardships are developing you into something divine? The difficulties you've encountered have not only strengthened you, but also given you a strong sense of empathy. You've experienced feelings that others overlooked. You have been disregarded, devalued, and maybe even mocked. Throughout it all, you have become stronger. When the world rejected you, God was polishing you while others overlooked your merits. He was preparing you for something they couldn't see yet. Understand the truth. Your endeavors were not in vain. They have been the fire that has transformed you into something better than you could have dreamed. You are not supposed to blend in, since you were designed to stand out. Trust in the trip. Accept the lessons and trust that God has been preparing you for the time when everything comes together. The moment is approaching, when you'll stop wondering why you had to go through so much, because you would realize with crystal clarity how each step was guiding you to your heavenly destiny. The chosen one. From a young age, you may have felt a pull toward deeper, more significant stories about faith, fortitude, and sacrifice. While other children were fascinated by fairy tales about princes and castles, your heart was pulled to stories about true struggle, perseverance, and divine purpose. You may not have realized it at the time, but this was not a passing curiosity. It was a portent of something bigger. Could it be that God was already developing your spirit and calling you to something out of the ordinary? Your interest in the lives of individuals who remained steadfast in their religion, whether biblical figures, spiritual leaders, or historical symbols, was not coincidental, whilst others were delighted by fictitious experiences. You were intrigued by the courage of people who overcame adversity for the sake of something greater than themselves. You may have been captivated to the narrative of Daniel in the lion's den, Daniel 616-22, marveling at how his faith stayed unwavering even in the face of death. You may have had a strong connection to Moses, who struggled with his calling while still leading a nation to freedom, or Esther, who risked all to save her people. These weren't simply stories for you. They sparked an inward reaction, awakening a desire to live for a higher cause than your own. In Romans 15, the Bible says that everything that has come before was written to educate us, so that, with patience and support from the Scriptures, we might have hope. The tales that affected you were more than just an inspiration. They were saved to mold and prepare you for your voyage. The same faith, tenacity, and resilience that fascinated you in these stories were precisely the virtues God was instilling in you. Could it be that he was using these stories to prepare you for a task you hadn't discovered? Many great people who changed the course of history felt this calling from an early age. Martin Luther, the German theologian who began the Reformation, was originally studying to be a lawyer until he was trapped in a terrible storm. He called out to God, offering to dedicate his life to him if he lived. He followed his word, leading one of the most important movements in religious history. His metamorphosis began with an inner pull and the unwavering belief that he was intended for greater. If you've ever felt drawn to stories of faith and sacrifice, it's possible that God is calling you to pursue a similar road. As a youngster, you may have asked challenging questions that others were unprepared to answer. Why does suffering exist? What is my real purpose? What does God want from me? While many around you were satisfied with easy answers, you sought deeper realities. This set you distinct. Others may have thought your inquiry strange or even scary, but you did not consider yourself as distinct from yourself. These inquiries seemed natural because God planted them in your heart. Even Jesus, at the age of 12, was discovered at the temple, discussing significant spiritual subjects with religious professors from 46 to 47. His comprehension astounded everyone around him, yet it was simply part of who he was. Could it be that, like Jesus in his youth, your yearning for knowledge and truth reflected God's wisdom growing within you? Looking back, you may see that God has always been working inside you. Those stories that affected you, those inquiries that distinguished you, were all indications of a divine destiny waiting to be disclosed. What if everything you've been drawn to, every moment of wonder, and every stirring in your heart was God's method of revealing who you actually are? Your adventure is only beginning, but one thing is certain. You were never meant to take the average road. You have always had a feeling of curiosity that distinguishes you from others. While other youngsters were satisfied with basic responses, your intellect and heart desired something more. You contemplated the secrets of existence. How was the world created? Who is God? Why do we exist? These were not ephemeral ideas, but continuous inquiries that awoke inside you, as if your spirit was looking for something beyond what was seen. This was more than just a typical youthful interest. It was a symbol of heavenly connection. God instilled in you a desire for truth, which drives you to seek solutions that others have ignored. Could this profound longing be indication that you were always intended to embark on a spiritual journey? The Bible says in Proverbs 25 verse 2 that it is God's honor to hide the matter. But the greatness of monarchs is in seeking it out. Your quest to comprehend was never arbitrary. It was a summons to discover the realities that God has concealed for those who really seek Him. Many people who have changed the world began with a strong sense of curiosity. Sir Isaac Newton, one of history's greatest scientific minds, was captivated by the rules of nature. He studied physics and math. What many people don't understand is that he was also quite religious. He spent years studying the Bible, certain that the secrets of creation were inextricably linked with divine knowledge. His insatiable curiosity led to discoveries that fundamentally altered our understanding of the world. Could it be that the same intense need you've had from infancy is a clue that you, too, were intended to discover something extraordinary? Even in Scripture, we observe that individuals whom God picks frequently have a restless search for significance. King Solomon, famed for his wisdom, begged God for insight rather than wealth or power. 1 Kings 3:92-12, and because of his willingness to seek the truth, God bestowed insight on him that no one had before or since. Have you ever pondered why your heart has always sought deeper significance, when others are content with surface-level answers? Could it be that, like Solomon, God has put a gift of knowledge within you, ready to be developed? This spiritual interest is a sign that God is leading you to something bigger. This is why you've always asked questions that others find difficult to answer. It explains why you've always been drawn to secrets beyond the physical realm. Your spirit was never intended to stay in the commonplace. It was intended to seek the unusual. This never-ending search for the truth has formed you in ways you may not be aware of. While others were satisfied with what they were taught, you always had to go further to understand the why behind everything. This is because your spirit was designed to seek understanding, and God has always guided you toward divine truth. The more you searched, the more you discovered realities that others overlooked. Have you ever noticed how some insights appear to come to you at the perfect time, as if God is gently guiding your understanding? Layer by layer, your search is not in vain. Ecclesiastes 3:11 teaches us that God has instilled eternity in the human heart, yet no one can comprehend what God has done from beginning to end. This suggests that your desire to unravel the secrets of life is not coincidental. It's God's imprint on your soul, inviting you to find Him in ways that most people never will. While some may reject their deeper inquiries, you have always believed in something more, something beyond what the eye can perceive. Could this unwavering interest be part of God's plan for your life? History has demonstrated that some of the most powerful leaders shared this fervent desire to unearth hidden facts. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the Renaissance's greatest thinkers, spent his life investigating the secrets of science, art, and human nature. He was interested by creation itself, delving into the minute elements of anatomy, nature, and stars, always looking for a better grasp of how the world was built. His unquenchable curiosity drove him to make discoveries that were millennia ahead of his time. What if your own curiosity is a heavenly gift that will bring you to a deeper understanding of God's creation and your role in it? Even in the Bible, we observe that individuals chosen by God typically had a strong desire for knowledge. Daniel the prophet sought answers via visions and dreams, deciphering riddles beyond others' comprehension. Daniel 2:19-23, his capacity to comprehend what was hidden was not purely cerebral. God gave spiritual wisdom. Have you ever received insight or information that seems beyond your own comprehension? If so, God has most likely been revealing things to you, just as he did to Daniel. But great insight entails enormous responsibility. The more you search, the more you will discover, and not everyone will comprehend what has been shown to you. Some may reject your questions as frivolous or even mock you for thinking differently. However, chosen ones are not expected to adhere to worldly standards. They are supposed to stand out and live in divine wisdom. You were never intended to settle with shallow knowledge. You were designed to look for, question, and uncover the secrets of God's kingdom. What you felt since infancy has always brought you closer to a better understanding of who you are and the divine mission you are here to accomplish. The true question now is whether you are ready to embrace this calling and completely enter the wisdom God has planned for you. Accepting this calling entails realizing that your desire for knowledge is more than simply academic. It's spiritual. The very questions that have distinguished you from others are the keys to discovering the purpose God has put inside you. While the world frequently seeks transient solutions, you have always been drawn to something everlasting, something that resonates beyond human comprehension. Have you ever noticed how certain truths arouse strong emotions in you, as if they were intended for you to discover? That sensation is not accidental. It is God's way of letting you know that your search is getting you closer to Him. The trip is not always easy. There will be instances when your curiosity will leave you feeling misunderstood. Those around you may ask why you ponder so deeply, why you refuse to accept surface-level answers, or why your heart is drawn to things that others overlook. But this is what distinguishes you. Jesus himself was questioned, mocked, and even rejected for expressing realities that the world was unwilling to embrace. According to John 1 verse 5, the light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not overcome it. You too are a light intended to shine in a world that frequently chooses to stay blind. Many of the world's greatest thinkers and spiritual leaders have followed this route. Søren Kierkegaard, a Danish philosopher and theologian, spent his life exploring the essence of religion, truth, and human existence. He was frequently chastised for thinking too deeply. However, his thoughts evolved into some of the most profound lessons on religion and purpose. He once stated, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." Could it be that the questions that have defined your path may eventually lead to answers that others will seek? In the Bible, we discover that individuals who sincerely pursued God were given hidden wisdom that others could not understand. Proverbs 23:25 encourages us. Indeed, if you cry out for insight and wisdom, if you look for it like silver and hunt for it like hidden treasure, you will understand the Lord's dread and discover God's knowledge. This passage serves as a reminder that wisdom does not come easily to everyone. It is limited to those who actively seek it. You have always been looking, seeking, and wishing for something more. This is because God has brought you to a knowledge that is not intended for everyone, but rather for those He has selected. With this awareness comes greater responsibility. The insights you gain are not only for yourself. They are intended to be shared. God has given you insight, which will guide others out of confusion and darkness. However, this also implies that you will meet opposition, just as Jesus talked in parables, so that only those with ears to hear could completely comprehend. Matthew 13:10-13, you will discover that not everyone is prepared to accept the realities you encounter. Some will reject them, mock them, and even attempt to silence you. But remember that you were never designed to fit in. You are destined to lead. Have you ever felt as if the more you seek, the more God reveals to you? Have you ever noticed how certain truths echo so deeply inside you that they seem familiar, as if they were always destined to be part of your path? That's because they are. The wisdom you're discovering has been waiting for you all along. You are not simply a seeker. You are a chosen one. And the day is approaching when everything you've been looking for will come together, revealing the divine path that has been planned for you from the beginning. Are you prepared to embrace the entirety of this calling? Stepping into this calling entails accepting both the responsibilities and the challenges that come with it. The further you look, the more you'll learn about not just the secrets of existence, but also about your own divine nature. Many chosen ones pause at this point, feeling the weight of what they have witnessed. Have you ever experienced a moment when you understood something so deep that it made you doubt all you believed you knew? These are not accidents. These are awakenings, signs that God is opening doors in your soul and preparing you for something better. However, here is the challenge. Not everyone will understand you. Many individuals are content to live within the bounds of what they have been taught. They're frightened to ask too many questions because of what they could discover. But you are not supposed to be like everyone else. God made you to explore, unearth, and reveal realities that others avoid. This might sometimes make your road seem lonely. Even in these moments of seclusion, you are never completely alone. In Jeremiah 33 verse 3, God says, "Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and untouchable things you do not know." This implies that every time you ask, seek, or experience a strong desire to learn more, God responds. You may not always receive a quick response, but He is directing your thoughts, coordinating your movements, and bringing you to discoveries that will change your destiny. Consider Galileo Galilei, the brilliant astronomer who dared to question what the world thought about the universe. He encountered resistance from religious and scientific authority. Nonetheless, he maintained his hunt for the truth. His findings fundamentally altered humanity's view of the universe, but at a high cost. He was mocked, vilified, and put under house arrest for his ideas. However, we now understand that he was correct all along. What if the information bubbling within you is like this? A reality that others have yet to accept, but which will one day impact people's lives. This is the route of the chosen ones. You will not be comprehended. You'll be questioned. You will even face resistance. But every great leader, prophet, and visionary has walked this path before you. Moses doubted himself. Nevertheless, he led an entire nation to independence. Paul was persecuted before becoming one of the most effective gospel ambassadors. Even Jesus was rejected by his own followers. But did these challenges deter them? Number because they realized that what was placed within them was far larger than the adversity they encountered. And now you are at the same crossroads. You can disregard the calling and attempt to fit in with society. Alternatively, you might follow the road that has been set for you from the beginning. You have an option right now. If you've ever felt like an outsider, if you've always had questions that others won't ask, or if you felt that your life was designed for something bigger, you're not making it up. You are becoming more aware of who you really are. The world may not be ready for the realities you will discover, but God is preparing you to bear them nonetheless. Are you ready to truly embrace the wisdom and purpose that have been waiting for you all along? Because the trip is only starting as we get to the end of today's message. I'd like you to take a time to ponder on this tremendous reality. The world may have attempted to obscure your genuine identity, but God sees you just as you are. You are His chosen one, marked by divine purpose, and the magnificence that has hitherto been hidden from you will soon be unveiled. What others may have ignored, misinterpreted, or even attempted to conceal, God is about to bring to light for all to see. Your tale is everything but average. It's a narrative of purpose and destiny, as well as the power of a well-planned life. The world may have attempted to define you by your trials, but God defines you through your calling. I understand that receiving this message may have triggered something deep within you. If it has touched your heart, please consider helping our ministry with a wonderful gratitude. Your kind contributions allow us to continue spreading the message of hope, healing, and divine purpose to an ever-increasing audience. Whether you're able to give or not, I will want to take this opportunity to convey my deepest thanks for your continuous support. Your presence, time, and encouragement mean the world to us, and we are grateful to have you on this journey. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share this message with everyone who may need to hear it. You never know who is in need of encouragement today, and your acts might have a significant influence on their life. I also invite you to leave a remark below. Your views and experiences are extremely essential in building a community of individuals who are living in faith, learning together, and supporting one another. As you move forward today, may God continue to bless you abundantly. May He reveal more of His wonderful plan for your life and direct your steps in His light. You were picked. Your destiny is divine, and your path is far from complete. Maintain your confidence in who you truly are, and remember that no matter what has occurred in the past, the best is still to come. God is working behind the scenes to prepare you for greatness. Trust His timetable, accept His promises, and walk confidently in your genuine identity. You are dearly adored, and God supports you. Keep pushing forward with faith, believing that you are meant for great things. God bless you abundantly, and may His peace be with you always.